Hello, thank God again we're back to our classes. We had some issues earlier. I found it a little bit difficult to record, but we're back. We're back. And thank God we're back. So, like I was saying, now in this stretch of our classes or course, we are going to start with CSS. And I know it's going to be fun because everything we've learned so far, HTML and the UI courses, CSS brings it more into reality, and as we proceed with the courses, we begin to see how beautiful CSS can be. So let's just jump right into it. I don't want to take too much time in this video because it's just intro, but basically everything we'll be discussing in this video we'll be able to practicalize it in code in a very short time. So let's get started. So what is CSS? CSS stands for Cascading Style Sheet. It's a rule set used to style HTML documents in order to increase user experience. So basically, the last HTML project we did, we tried to create a profile, and in as much as we tried as much as possible to put break, tag, and put spaces between things, it wasn't beautiful to say. Maybe it wasn't beautiful. There's no way to try to quantify it. But when you add CSS to that, you're able to add more colors. You're able to create a color thing. You're just able to do so many things to make your work come back to life. I see CSS like the flesh that covers the skeleton. More like the HTML part basically provides structure. So I see it as a skeleton. Then what makes it beautiful or make you handsome, the flesh, that's CSS that covers it. So that is basically that about CSS. So the structure of CSS is very simple in every sense of it. That's a selector and a declaration block. So we have the selector here. So we could select okay, let me read from my slide. A CSS rule is made up of a selector and a declaration block. The selector serves the purpose of targeting the HTML element or tag or elements, you could use interchangeably, you want to style, while the declaration block contains the instructions for the style itself. So what I'm saying in essence, you could pick the selector targets either an HTML element or a tag or even IDs or classes. Basically, we select that element, then we are able to use CSS to bring colors, to bring arrangement, to style it, and that's why it's called cascading style sheet, basically to style it in such a way that it now brings meaning to or life to our web page, basically. So like this, we are selecting the h2 tag and we are adding the color blue to it. This is the simplest form of CSS styling that you could come across. So now let's proceed. So like I just quite explained this, but let's just go over it. There are several ways to target HTML elements in CSS for styling. So for styling, we could use the HTML tag like h1, h2, p tag, the body tag. You could just pick any tag and style it with CSS. Basically, we could equally use class names. Sorry, we use class names like if you notice, towards the second to last class and the third to last class, I know we talked about IDs and classes, and we're able to define classes as attributes in our HTML documents. Now with those class names we've given it, you can target individual elements and add styles to them in our CSS document. So basically that is just that about class name, and the same thing applies to IDs. So just like class name, we could equally define the IDs in our HTML attributes and use these IDs and apply styles to them. So like I said, so basically that is that about selectors. So we could select tag names, HTML tags, we could select class names, and we could select IDs. You see more of this when we get into practice shortly in a couple of videos, but it is very easy. It's not complicated, just as explained. It is very easy. So basically, next, and finally, how to use CSS in your HTML document. So there are three ways to use CSS with your HTML document. First off is to use it as the first way to use it is to use it as an internal CSS, where you just write your CSS in one part of your document, then you write your HTML in another part of your document, in another part within the same document. But like it helps, your work will be in one place, but as your file grows larger or your work grows larger, the document becomes too big and too cumbersome, if that's the right word to use in that scenario. But it becomes too bulky, kind of, so it becomes difficult to manage. But versus versus the other, or the best practice method, which is using an external style sheet, where you link your HTML document to an external CSS document. Here you're able to manage everything because they're on different documents. So these are the first two ways. Either write your CSS within the same page or the same document as your HTML, or you link it externally. So within the internal method, there's another way you could do it. You could write your CSS inline within each tag, so you can individually style every tag that you write, or every element, by putting a styles tag inside of it. I know I'm talking too fast, but basically, just like we could create within a document, or within a tag, you could have different attributes. You could equally add a style attribute to that tag and style that tag or as you want within that style attribute. Create you can do the color, you can change the color of the text, you can change the color of the background, you can do so much. But still, just like the first, it becomes very difficult to manage. Your document becomes so large and very difficult to follow. You'll get confused along the line. So it is best practice to use an external style sheet, even though if your project is not large or your project is small. So basically, if your project is large, it's better to use an external style sheet. But even if you're doing a small project, it is safe still to make it a practice to use external style sheets, so that your document will you'll get yourself used to writing your HTML different and your CSS differently. So basically, that is just what I have to say in this introductory class. I know I was talking too fast. I know you could also slow down the speed of your video or play back anything you think I said, and as well you can equally ask me any question pertaining anything you're not clear about. But we'll be jumping soon into code, and you would be experiencing CSS, and you see I will be able to manipulate and create lovely changes and design to our HTML document. So let's just dive into it and begin to do some CSS. So thank you very much.